Should Cam Schlittler stay in the rotation or go to the pen for the playoffs? Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? So the Yankees are off a stressful win last night, right? They were up 10-1. They wound up winning 10-9. And a lot of it had to do with the bullpen, um, which is certain members of the bullpen have faltered recently. Ryan Yarbrough last night, Luke Weaver the night before, right? It's been kind of like a rotation of guys that are just not performing well right now. The bullpen for many intents and purposes is in a way gassed, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they call up a fresh arm or two for the rest of the way to give these other guys some rest heading into the postseason. They're in a good spot to get there, but the season's not over yet, obviously. But the question I have for you is, Cam Schlittler, would you keep him in the rotation now heading into the postseason, or would you put him in the bullpen? Okay. And again, I want to know what your thoughts are. So if you happen to be a Yankee fan, you love this team, and you're not subscribed to this channel, please make sure you do that right now. And turn on your notifications as well. That way you don't miss anything. It means the world to me. It's a blessing. It's greatly appreciated. So I thank you for it. Now, with that, I don't know if you noticed this. Cam Schlittler, he's got a huge arm, right? And at some point, he started to lose in the fifth inning. He lost the ability to find the plate, right? He walked 5 guys. So that's when they took him out, right? They brought in Cruz. Cruz cleaned that up. But then they brought in Ryan Yarbrough, and he got tagged for like 4 hits and 4 runs in a third of an inning. Now, what's the difference between Cam and Yarbrough? Cam's got a bazooka for an arm. And it's easier to go from 100, 98 to 100. And the Twins, Minnesota Twins, and thank you for Ken from the Ugly Truth for pointing this out, sharing this with me. They have about a 300 or 3+ OPS against hard fastball pitchers. So not good. Not good. And he was mowing them down in the beginning of the game, right? Then he started walking guys. They got him out of there. They brought in Cruz. Cruz kind of cleaned it up, and then Yarbrough came in, and he started to get tagged. But they went from 100 to 102 fastball to an 88-mile-an-hour fastball. It became much easier for the Twins to hit Yarbrough than it did Cam Schlittler. So I do think that contributed to the Twins' resurrection the rest of the game, right? Because everybody they brought in after Cam Schlittler does not throw as hard as Schlittler does. Okay? The guy that had the best stuff last night was Devin Williams. He looked really good last night. Kudos to him for that. Okay? And David Bednar, he came in, he got him out, but he gave up a home run too. He's got good stuff, but he got hit. Okay? He also doesn't throw as hard as he throws hard, but not as hard as Cam Schlittler. So, if I had to give a take on this, and obviously the Yankees don't pay me for this stuff, but I would put Schlittler in the bullpen and go with a 3-man rotation in the playoffs, at least the first round. Go with Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and Luis Hill, and put Schlittler in the pen. We do not have somebody who throws 100 with regularity in the bullpen, touches 100, 102. With Schlittler in the pen, it gives teams a different dynamic. Okay, you're going harder in the latter parts of the game than slower in the latter parts of the game when it comes to pitch speed, right? And that's going to make it harder for teams. And if Cam Schlittler can come in and give us 2 innings of darts, and again, keep in mind, he's a rookie, barely a rookie. So he's already at the pro level at his innings capacity. So it might be time to maximize whatever we have left for the season with Cam Schlittler by transitioning him to the bullpen. Okay? So, and again, you let me know what your thoughts are. We don't have anybody like that in the pen right now. Okay? Duvall's got a big arm, but he still has location problems, right? Fernando Cruz has had location problems too. And he also doesn't throw as hard as Schlittler. The only guy that we've had recently throws as hard as Schlittler is the closer for the Red Sox, Aroldis Chapman. Look at him now. He's probably going to get Cy Young votes. He's so freaking good now. It's like he learned how to pitch once he left New York. We have a guy with an arm almost as big as Aroldis Chapman's. And it might be better to transition him now to the pen and give him a couple outings with a couple innings, 3 innings, and just you just throw darts, man, absolute darts. Get dudes out. And it saves the other guys. It saves the Bednars. It saves the Devin Williams, right? It saves the Cruzes. It saves the Duvals, the Mark Leiter Juniors, the Yarboroughs. It saves these other guys. I would even start Yarborough in a game or two for the rest of the season, and then transition him to Schiller towards the latter part of the game. Could you imagine going from 88 in the beginning of the game, and when he started, right, games, they had trouble hitting him because they came right out of the gate with him. Could you imagine going from him to a fastball that's almost 15 miles an hour faster? That's going to throw hitters off. I know it would throw me off. That's one of the things I remember playing high school baseball. Going from a guy that throws stuff to a guy that throws flames at the end of the game or to the latter part of the game. It's a different look. It's a different adjustment period. And if you give athletes or give players, the opposing team, not a lot of opportunities to adapt to it, it can create problems, right? And then you can pivot him to whoever else. He could be our long relief guy. And Ryan Yarbrough could be our spot starter right now. And then if that works well, imagine going from Fried to Schlittler or Hill to Schlittler or Rodon to Schlittler and then the rest of the guys. Now you're talking about shutting opposing offenses down for even longer in the game, right? We want to keep their score tallies low for as long as we possibly can to give the Yankees an opportunity to score. They scored 10 runs last night. They gave up 9. That doesn't have to do with the offense. It has to do with the pitching, the bullpen. That's one of the things that's most noticeable. We went from 102 miles an hour to 88, right? Pros feast a batting practice on 88, right? That's not a knock on Ryan Yarbrough. He doesn't have the arm that Cam Schlittler does. But Cam Schlittler is young right now. He's 24 years old, and he's already thrown quite a bit of innings. So at this point, I think it might be a good idea to put him in the bullpen for the rest of the way, the rest of the season and into the postseason. Give the bullpen a weapon that it doesn't currently have. We had Jake Bird, but he was overused by the Rockies. I'm guessing he's going to be better when he comes back next year, as is Duvall, as he get an offseason to work with and a full spring to work with Matt Blake. But right now, the best piece, the move we could possibly make, I think, is moving Schlittler to the bullpen and giving the bullpen a weapon that it doesn't have, right? That can, again, throw opposing teams into chaos. Make it really hard for them to come back in games. Make it hard for them to get on the board, period, right? So give me your take. Give me your take on this. I'll be back later on with the lineup, right? They're game 3 against the Twins before they head to Baltimore. And keep in mind, they're going to have less than 24 hours. They got to play a game tonight. They got to travel to Baltimore and play the Orioles again tomorrow. Less than 24 hours. A lot of folks were saying it's an excuse. The Yankees lost, because of the lack of sleep they had and so on and so forth. They can't use sleep. Yes, you can use sleep as an excuse. As a professional, that's not an excuse. That's a legitimate thing. At the end of the season, these athletes are tired and you're not getting sufficient sleep and you're traveling. That does add up. It does accumulate in the body. That's not an excuse. That's a fact. Physiologically speaking, and as a former competitive athlete, that does add up. It does matter if you don't sleep enough. It will affect your performance, especially if you're competing at the highest level there is. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. They're going to come right around this. They got to travel after tonight's game to Camden tomorrow to play Baltimore on under 24 hours rest. Okay, so take it with a grain of salt, but I encourage you folks to keep that in mind. Just it'll improve your perspective. Okay, as much as I want the Yankees to win the series or maybe sweep the Orioles, which is possible, especially an abbreviated Orioles team who's traded away a lot of the guys that used to kick our butts during the season, right? So, which is potentially good for us, but it doesn't mean the Yankees aren't going to lose the game. They won 3 out of 4. I'd be happy with that too. They sweep, I'd be ecstatic, right? But they lost the first game of the Twins series because they came out of that intense 12-game set, right? Didn't have much rest. Went from that game, 12-game set, right into Minnesota to face the Twins. It's not not an easy turnaround. It really isn't. Okay, and I know a lot of people who don't play the game, have never played the game, are going to be the ones that are the most critical. Happens all the time. But back to the subject at hand. Would you put Cam in the pen? And do you understand my logic as to why I would do it? Okay, going Getting faster throughout the game with your pitchers could be a good thing. Okay. Take the psyche out of a team when you have a flamethrower towards the end of the game. We don't have that right now. We got a Bulldog and David Bednar, but we don't have a flamethrower in between the starters and Bednar who can actually come in and just dominate dudes. Cam Schiller can do that. But at the last thing, I don't want him to get tired. I don't want him to get hurt. So I would rather, whatever bullets we have left in his arm, I'd rather do it in long relief. Okay? Give me your take on this. I'm really, really curious to know what your thoughts are. I think this would be an effective way to position the Yankees to be successful the rest of the season. Just learn the pen for those particular reasons. Okay, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Have a great day. Be back later with the lineup. Let's go, Yankees.